Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses grow through outside the box visibility and automation strategies. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. You are in for an amazing day, an amazing guest, and an amazing conversation. It's a lot of amazingness happening in this conversation today. My guest, Cary, and I have been chatting behind the scenes, having some fun. I learned a lot about his home state of Louisiana. So without further ado, welcome Cary Prejean with Strategic Business Advisors to the podcast. Glad to have you, Cary.
Hi, Heidi. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Cary, why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself, about Strategic Business Advisors, and your role within it?
Right. My background is accounting, CPA. I started consulting back in 1987. And over the years, I've developed a few things that really help business owners scale. And I don't want to get into the details. I'll talk too long. So, just develop some things some strategies that I help business owners and their leadership team really scale the business and get the owner out of working in the business on such an intense basis a lot of times, and give them more actionable financial data, as well as help them design the business into the future through some strategic planning strategies.
So can you tell us who you serve? Is there a specific type of business? Are you agnostic? And then the types of challenges that they're facing when they come to you?
Right. So typically it's a small and medium-sized business owner, somewhere in the $5 to $35 million revenue range, industry agnostic. Most of my history is with manufacturing, construction, and wholesaling. One of the good things came out of COVID was this technology. We weren't supposed to travel, so the Zoom, I became a big fan of Zoom. And now I have clients pretty much across the continental 48. Where they come to me, what happens is business owners, entrepreneurs start a business, right? Because they see a possibility, they turn into revenue. So they keep doing that. And they maybe see some other possibilities, but they're good at generating revenue, strategic alliances, that kind of thing. Well, because it's just them in the beginning, they have to do a lot of the stuff. So because it's their business, it's their baby, they want things done their way, not because they know how to do things necessarily. They find a way to do them. It's not necessarily the best way, but they're very concerned about doing things my way. So they tend to micromanage. They tend to be involved in the day-to-day business a lot. And what happens is they grow the business to where that's like, this is as big as they can handle it. If it grows much bigger, it's going to all fall apart. It's going to blow up. So they wind up working 80 to 100 hours a week. They wonder why their employees just don't get it. They're stuck. They're like stuck in second gear. They can't grow the business much more beyond where they're at. They can't take any time off. They're frustrated, and the business doesn't function well. There's always these chronic breakdowns. They always have to come in. They're firefighters every day. So they come to me. Some realize, like, look, I realize I'm the bottleneck. I don't know how to get out of the way. So we help them get out of that. We help them manage more by the numbers, and we help them scale their business. Generally, first, most business owners are concerned about is my profits. Right? Mm-hmm. So there's 12 strategies that I can work with the management team of a business, and we can get the business to double. We can get the business to double its net income in a year or less. Okay, so that's first. And while that's going on, we also look at what's got the business owner so entrenched in the business. Generally, it's like, what's your biggest headache? What's the biggest chronic problem that's going on that the owner has to constantly address? And generally, that's an indication that you're either missing a process or the process you have is not working well. It needs to be edited. So we look at that, and what I want to know from the business owner is, what are the consistent results you want to see out of that process? What's supposed to be happening there? Because right now, you're not getting those consistent results. So what are they? So given that, the people who participate in the process at all levels, we bring them together. It's like, okay, but for homework, I want you to go home and write down like a recipe, like step 1, step 2, step 3 of what you do as part of this process. And then the manager who's in charge of all that puts it together in a coherent process. Then you test it, right? So, part of it is when you're putting the process together, if you see some better ways to do what you do, put that in. Here's a better way to do it. Anyway, so the manager puts it together. What do you think is going to be the best process? And then he tests the process. Does it produce the results the owner wants? If it does, then that's the process from now on. Okay, now what's the next biggest headache? And so as you get through a few of those, it gives the owner more time. They get to step back a little bit and go do the things that got them into business. Go generate some revenue. Go chase down some possibilities, turn it into revenue. Go strengthen some strategic allies. Go make some new ones. That's what they're really good at. So eventually what happens is you have processes for all your critical functions. And now the system of processes runs the business just by having a manager make sure the employees are following the process. And the owner can like step back, take time off. They're not working all the hours. Now, again, there's some of them who are obsessed with it. They're going to work 80 to 100 hours anyway, but they don't have to. Secondly is most business owners talk about managing by the numbers. So you ask them, well, what does that mean exactly? Yeah, I manage by the numbers. Yeah, okay, tell me about that. What numbers do you use to manage? Well, if a business, I have several divisions and they all have to stand on their own 2 feet, and I'm not going to feed one with another one, and okay, but so how are you doing that? Are you getting divisional financial statements, income statements to make sure that these divisions are standing on them? Well, no, not yet. Basically, what helps a business stabilize and grow is that the right numbers are looked at, they're monitored and they're measured consistently over time. So what I've come up with, or depending on the business, either daily, weekly, monthly dashboards or what's key performance indicators for the business. And they report on 4 things: financial strength, liquidity, profitability, and efficiency. As well as, can we set some goals? Like a liquidity ratio is current ratio. Let's just say you're at 1.25 and the industry standard is 2 to 1. In other words, current assets versus current liabilities. You want that ratio to be not necessarily as big as possible, but you want it to be healthy. So that's actionable financial data, that's processes, that's doubling net income. And the last thing is we work with the business owner on how you're going to design your business in the future, so that it gives you ultimate satisfaction. In other words, what we're going to do is design a business to where it gives you everything you want in terms of, but you're going to have to come up with what that is, because satisfaction is a matter of enough action. So how much revenue are you talking about? How much profitability are you talking about? How much compensation to you as the owner? How much time can you take off? What's the market you're going to serve? What are the products and goods and services you're going to offer? How many employees do you want to have? What do you want the company culture to be? As much as possible, what do you want the business to look like? In other words, if you could wave a magic wand and it'd be perfect, giving you everything you want, what would it look like? And that you're not going to get that answer in an hour or a weekend. It's going to be a practice you need to do consistently over the years. And what you'll find is that you begin to say, well, I want this to happen. I'd like to be 5 years. A lot of times it'll happen sooner, like in 2 to 3 years. And as you get those possibilities, bigger possibilities open up, stuff you couldn't see before. Does all that make sense?
It's completely makes sense.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I do with businesses.
Well, thank you for the breakdown. Question for you: what are some of the biggest blind spots that you're seeing or have seen with leaders when it comes to growing a sustainable and valuable business?
Probably one of the biggest fallacies with most business owners, they think because they started the business, because they own the business, because they've been there the entire time, they're the best to manage the business. And if you look at what makes a good entrepreneur versus what makes a good manager, you can see they're about opposite. So you can either become a good manager, which means you're not going to be a very good entrepreneur, or you can try and manage like an entrepreneur, which means you're not going to be a good manager. Right? So really the strength of the most value that an entrepreneur has to the business is to be an entrepreneur and let somebody else be the manager. Because look at the dynamics. An entrepreneur is going to be very headstrong. They're going to be very independent. They're going to be very dominant. They're going to want things their way, and they're going to take action and make things happen. As opposed to a good manager who's be more of a team player. Entrepreneurs typically don't make good partners, and they don't make good team players. They want their way. They're also entrepreneurs are generally extroverted, right? That's how they're great at making relationships. Within 15 minutes, like them, they're your good pal and everything else. Whereas a good manager is not going to try and be everybody's friend. They're going to keep some kind of a distance because, when you need to have a hard conversation with an employee, you don't want to be, Bob, your drinking buddy, right? You want a certain amount of distance to maintain that relationship. Also, entrepreneurs want a very fast pace. They move fast, and they want to change gears. They're always distracted with the new shiny object. Managers, good managers want things nice and steady. They don't want chaos. They don't want to change gears. The best managers I know, I like things nice and boring here. Very consistent, just keep churning out the results. Drives an entrepreneur crazy. And lastly, entrepreneurs don't want a lot of rules for them. Like, don't tell me how to do it. I'll figure it out when I get there. What, because they see rules as obstacles, things they got to get around. They don't want to do that. I'll make it up as I go. That's what I do. Good manager wants to know exactly what are the guidelines here, what are the rules, how much money can I spend, how much authority do I have, what are the results you expect, and work with that and coordinate resources and personnel to produce those results. Whereas an entrepreneur is just going to be like, just make it happen, do a good job. Well, that's any detail you leave out of a request is subject to interpretation. Anyway, so yeah, that's probably the biggest one.
Can you share a recent story or a success story of a client that came to you facing a business challenge or growth plateau? What was the situation? You don't have to share the client. What was the situation? What did you uncover, and what was the outcome?
Okay, well, I'll tell you about one that recently sold the business after working together about 4 years. I started working with this couple that had an e-commerce business, and that first year they did about 5.8 million. And when they first came to me, they said, "Look, we realized we're the bottleneck. We don't know how to get out of the way." And so I started working with them and found that the husband spent half his time yelling at the people in the warehouse. The other half of his time, he was yelling at the accounting firm in India because they quote couldn't get payables straight. And the wife she's out in the weeds on merchandising and finding product and labels and stuff. So what we did is I talked to the owner, the husband, and said, "Look, your payable system is dysfunctional." And he goes, "What do you mean? What does that mean? What does it mean dysfunctional?" I said, "It does not function well." He goes, "No. The process is fine. You guys just don't know how to read the numbers." I was like, wait a minute. You're an e-commerce owner. Your background is in architecture. You're telling me the accountants, the guys in India and me, we don't know how to read the numbers. Does that make sense? Let me redo the process so that we don't go through this. Well, the other thing we had to do, we had to get a different accounting firm because the one he had they weren't that good. So we got a new accounting firm within a couple of months, redid the process. Now he spends about an hour a week going through payables, an approved pay list. We also got a warehouse manager. So now he's really not down in the warehouse unless there's something he's going to pull off to show somebody. So with that, and we got the wife focused on marketing, getting the ads right, putting the ad right place, spending the right amount of money. So they grew the business from 5.8 million in 2022 to last year they did almost 21 million.
Big jump.
Yeah. Well, we went from 5.8 to 8.6 to 12.3 to 20.8. This year it's on track to do about 28 million.
And I'm sure he's very happy now.
Very well. Here's the other thing. We were able to sell the business for like 13 times EBITDA.
Wow.
Their last day was Monday.
But that's incredible.
Right.
That's
and
incredible.
they went home with 8 figures in the bank after taxes.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Incredible.
But that's now again, is that every client? No, every client doesn't start out at 5 million, although that's kind of the bottom of the range that I work with now. And some people are just better entrepreneurs than others. And this guy is an incredible entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I mean, lived and breathed it. But yeah, we had a lot of success with a lot of business over the last 40 years.
Incredible. So Cary, can you share with us your growth? How is it that from when you started your company into where you are now, working with the clients you work with, can you share with us marketing visibility wise? How are your clients finding you? What are you doing? What are the ways that you're getting yourself out there to be seen by these companies to want to work with you?
Yeah, most of them come from referrals. Every now and then somebody finds me on LinkedIn or they find my website. That's pretty rare. I've worked with a number of different agencies. Fairly disappointing. Nobody's really been able to produce anything much.
Did you always have a big network when you started? Or how did you get yourself seen before then in order to now be able to rely mostly on referrals?
Yeah, the business I was working for at the time, referred me to a couple of his buddies who referred me to a couple of their buddies. And at some point I turned it into, I'm going to quit my full-time job and do the consulting thing back in 1987.
Amazing. Okay. Awesome. Well, what's next for you and business strategic? What are your big goals? If we could bring you back in a year from now, Cary, what would success look for you and strategic business advisors?
Yeah, I'd like more one-on-one clients, but also one of the big things I'm working on right now is getting some group coaching groups together.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Reach more people that way.
Yeah, absolutely. What would that look like for you to have your coaching program?
What would it look like in terms of like specifics?
Yeah, so if somebody's listening going, that sounds interesting to me.
Right.
What would the program
the
look
group
like?
coaching thing would probably wind up being like 3, maybe 4 groups of around 10 people, business owners. We meet once a month as a group, and then I would meet with the individual owners once a month on the different parts of the course they're going through. And it would be a 6-month course. It's more of a not done for you, but you do it yourself with
Right.
some coaching, some guidance. And really, I'll be working more with every business of a certain size. The owner's going to have some go-to people. We really got to have something done. They call so-and-so. Those are the people I primarily work with because they're the ones who are going to make it happen. My experience in working with business owners is a year later, and it still isn't done because they're distracted all the time, right? And they got all these other things they got to fool with. So it's better to work with the people who actually produce things. What I really need from the owners is I need the owner to be really committed to the transformation that's going to happen. Because if the owner's not committed, guess what? The employees own you. It's extra work for them.
So, Cary, AI, let's talk about AI a little bit because AI is changing nearly every industry right now in different ways, and it's evolving rapidly, as we've seen. For it was even 2 months ago, it's evolving. So, inside your company and among the companies that you advise, where is AI creating measurable value?
It actually makes the software easier to use. It's AI's in all the software I use, every platform. Even as the profit acceleration thing that I use to help businesses double in a year, AI's in that. All the different steps of going through all the different strategies, it's AI in there. Making suggestions what question to ask, what actions to take. I don't have it yet, but at some point I would like some kind of an AI VAs. I've actually talked with a couple of them that answers the phone and can answer some questions about what people are looking for, without having to talk to me. And not that I don't want to talk to people, but they might be more willing to call in if they knew they didn't have to talk to me. Some people would be scared I'd give them some big sales job. Well, I ain't that great of a salesman now. I wouldn't give you a sales job, but talking to a VA can answer some basic questions might be easier. But a lot of the software that I use right now has AI in it, and I use ChatGPT and I've used Grok a few times. It's really beneficial in terms of, I can feed some financial statements in, like give me a financial analysis, a ratio analysis of these financial statements, and compare them to the industry that this company is. In less than 5 minutes, it spits it out.
Yeah. So where do you see companies getting stuck? The ones that you work with AI? Is that something you're seeing around technology or?
Yeah, it reminds me of when personal computers came out in the late 80s. They came out in the early 80s, but people weren't adopting them that well until the later 80s. And there were some businesses that resisted them, like big time. They wanted everything still manual. They might have had a word. I don't know. Do you remember the Xerox had a word processor? That's all it did. Had the daisy wheel printer.
Yeah.
Then that was nice because it kind of automated instead of doing the typewriter, and if you messed up, you could. And then they had the WYSIWYG, which you see what you get screened, looked like a piece of paper, as opposed to the black monitor with the green print of the DOS computer. Anyway, so yeah, people resisted that, but it wasn't like if you resisted it for 5 years, you didn't get that far behind the curve. With AI, you resist it for another 5 years, you're going to be way, way, way behind the curve because
Yeah.
of the productivity enhancements that you can get out of AI. So, I mean, you could fight it, but it's kind of like fighting the personal computers when they came out. You're going to have to, I mean, it might be as severe as adapt or die.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know if it'll take 5 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just from what we can see right now, if you don't really do what you can to bring AI into your business as much as possible and make it as productive as possible, 5 years from now, you're going to be so far behind your competition, or you're going to be so far behind the business that did bring in AI. They're going to be able to do stuff for customers that you didn't even know was possible.
Right. Yeah, there's so many new changes coming and it's happening so fast. And what do you say to people that are like, well, I'm not really utilizing it because it's always changing day to day. It seems like there's something new and I don't know where to begin. And are you running across that with the businesses as you're trying to get them to the next level?
No, not that so much. It's like I don't know it. I don't want to take time to learn it. I don't want to mess up what I already have. They're not aware that's even changed that much because they don't fool with it.
Yeah. So let's go back to the magic wand question that you mentioned earlier. If I could give you a magic wand and you could wave it over one challenge or issue you're having right now and go poof and it disappears, what would that issue or challenge be and why?
Um, well, have some group coaching groups already set up, but also to have a better way to find the people who are looking for what I offer. You know, I've heard the thing of only 3% of the market that you address are ready to buy now. Okay, so rather than disturb the other 97%, how do I get to that 3%? And
That's a
I
good
think if
one.
I got my message out in front of the right people, I could reach a lot more people.
Yeah, for sure. Cary, can you let people know how they can find you or they can reach you and connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Cary Prejean, or you can go to my website, strategicbusinessadvisors.org. You can get my phone number, my email. You can schedule an appointment with me, free, half an hour meet and greet. Just see, is there anything what's going on with your business? Is there anything I can help you with? And if there is, I'll tell you. If there isn't, I'll refer you to some place I think might.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you watching with us and on LinkedIn, thank you. We say hello. Cary and I say hello. If you know of anybody that would benefit from this conversation and learning more about strategic business advisors and connecting with Cary, please share this with them. If you are listening to us on your favorite podcast platform and love what you're hearing and would be so inclined to leave a review, we'd love preferably 5 stars. The reason being is it helps push the podcast platform will push out this episode and Cary's interview to more people. And if you know of anybody that would benefit from hearing Cary, learning more about him and his company and his services, please share this with them. Thank you so much, Cary, for your time and being here today. I loved our conversation. And
My pleasure, Heidi.
is there anything and for those of you listening, go to strategicbusinessadvisors.org. That's his website. We'll also have all of Cary's information in show notes, his bio, all the good stuff inside the show notes. So you can go there to grab it all. Cary, before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to say or share that I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about today?
I can't think of a thing, actually. I think you asked some great questions.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here with me today. I know you're really busy. If I have one more question, actually, if there's a company listening and they know they're in your target market of like, oh my gosh, I know this is me. I'm stuck. I know I can't grow anymore. Connecting with you is one, but what's one step that they should be taking in order to start moving that needle?
Have you heard the expression clarity is power? Knowing what you want is key to actually asking for what you want and getting what you want. And most people walk around with this sort of vague idea of, if only my life were a little bit different, I'd be happy. But they never define more, better, or different, right? So if there's something that's not working in your life, what would work? What specifically? You want more revenue? How much more revenue? You want more profitability? You want more time off? Whatever it is in your business, what do you want specifically? As much detail as possible. From there, you begin to ask the right questions that lead you to actually getting it. But if you have this sort of vague idea, I just wish it was different, That's not going to really get you anywhere. Being clear about what it is you want is going to help you get what you want much quicker.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. So for those of you listening again, go visit Cary, go check him out, go connect with him. He's pretty awesome. Go to strategicbusinessadvisors.org and learn more about what he does, his services, and how he can possibly help you. Cary, thank you again for your time. I appreciate you. And thank you all for listening us today on the Business Growth Spotlight podcast. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Thanks, Heidi.